The developers leading the next decade aren't typing the most code. They are architects who define system constraints, holding AI accountable for implementation. To reach that level of control, you need a workflow that pairs high-level autonomous reasoning with a local fallback that guarantees zero API costs when the system is under heavy load. Executing this requires three specific tools: your primary IDE, Anthropic's Claude Code agent, and Ollama for local model hosting. Establishing this dual-stack infrastructure provides the foundation necessary to scale. It is the same architecture used to manage a suite of synthetic employees and automate millions of dollars in annual labor without a traditional team. This process begins with intent-based software engineering. You move away from manual typing toward a system where you define the AI's blueprint. Before you initialize an agent, you establish plain English constraints. Without guardrails, the AI makes its own assumptions about your architecture. A clear specification document defines your tech stack, your naming conventions, and your folder structure. You aren't just asking for a feature, you are defining the environment. Instead of build a login page, you instruct the system to use specific hooks and routing. Setting precise rules early keeps the autonomous system aligned with your vision as the codebase grows. With constraints defined, you translate them into a Claude.md file. This acts as the central logic brain. This file creates deterministic rails. The primary model reads your rules, drawing boundaries around what the AI can modify. You define specific skills, granting permission for tasks like database audits. The system then delegates to specialized subagent teams, distributing work across the file hierarchy. This setup maintains context hygiene. By limiting what each subagent sees, you keep the AI focused on the immediate task, ignoring the entire codebase's noise. Because the primary agent manages teams via Claude.md, you stop micromanaging individual lines of code. Instead, you start managing the entire system. A properly configured file turns a general-purpose AI into a reliable, specialized engineering team. Once the logic is locked in, you start the construction by triggering the Claude Code agent through your terminal. The agent begins the orchestration, reading files, drafting components, and executing build commands automatically. The system generates structural code for a functional React component or Shopify section, handling the initial construction. However, relying solely on the cloud has a risk. If an autonomous agent enters an intensive debugging cycle, it can generate significant API costs very quickly. While cloud models provide high reasoning capabilities, you need a local backup to handle high-volume tasks. That backup is Ollama. It lets you run powerful models locally on your machine as a sovereign fallback. You configure your agent to reroute its workload into your local hardware when costs rise or connections fail. This chart shows the difference. While autonomous cloud loops lead to escalating API fees, local inference costs stay completely flat. By switching to local execution, your environment becomes completely self-contained, ensuring absolute privacy and eliminating dependence on third-party pricing. You will see the local model take over in your terminal, confirming code generation is now running locally. The system is designed for resilience. If the primary cloud API becomes unavailable, the workflow automatically falls back to your local stack to finish the job. True mastery means your systems remain operational at zero cost, regardless of external cloud providers or paywalls. You now have a multi-agent AI system that runs locally with no recurring API fees. This dual-stack setup is one component of the broader engineering methodology taught at the DDS5 Academy. This map displays the 25 interconnected nodes of the Academy. It covers the full territory, from your first prompt to the final sovereign stack. Stop typing code and start architecting. Enter the free academy and start building today.